Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're here today because we're going to demystify something that can completely transform how trade businesses operate. We're looking at exactly how small and medium service businesses can easily and practically structure their sales. If you're a contractor, a plumber, a landscaper, really any kind of tradesperson, you're going to want to pay close attention to this. Let's get right to it.
So what happens to a lead after they contact you? Think about that for a second. If your immediate answer is kind of like, well, it depends, then you've likely got a massive leak in your business operations. But don't worry, because plugging that leak is exactly what we are going to fix today. Okay, let's dive into this. First, we'll look at the memory trap, explore what is a pipeline, and go over structuring your stages. Then we'll establish checklists and handoffs, understand the value of lost, and finally, learn how to start simple, start now. This is the incredibly practical, step-by-step roadmap we're going to follow to get you organized.
Section 1. The memory trap.
You know, managing the chaos is literally half the job, right? It's a very real, everyday reality for anyone running a hands-on trade business. Someone calls, you have a great chat, and you jot their name down on a sticky note or maybe the back of a napkin on the dashboard of your truck. But then the week inevitably gets super busy. A crew member calls in sick, a supplier misses a vital delivery, or maybe a couple of jobs just run long. Suddenly, that really good lead vanishes completely into the void. Relying on your memory just leads to lost opportunities.
The hard truth is, those leads don't drop off because they were a bad fit, and they certainly don't disappear because your price was wrong. They drop off simply because there was no process in place. It's so incredibly important to realize that dropping leads isn't a reflection of your actual trade skills or your worth as a professional. It is solely the result of lacking a structured system to see the work.
Section 2. What is a pipeline?
I promise you right up front, we are completely stripping away all that polished corporate jargon today. You are definitely not going to hear me talking about pipeline velocity or automated digital dashboards. A sales pipeline is simply a system for seeing the work and moving relationships forward over time through a series of defined stages. The crucial point here is that a pipeline isn't just about aggressively closing a deal. For a trade business, it's about systematically tracking a human relationship from that very first phone call, all the way to a final decision.
Just think about the massive difference between e-commerce and trade services. A person buying a t-shirt online, they click and buy in a quick 5-minute transaction. But someone hiring a contractor to renovate their home or fix an HVAC system, that is a slow, highly relationship-driven process. It requires time, multiple quotes, and above all, a whole lot of trust. This contrast highlights exactly why trade businesses need a distinct, patient pipeline rather than just a quick-hit online retail funnel.
Section 3. Structuring your stages.
Now that we know what a pipeline actually is, we have to build one. But you've got to avoid creating this overcomplicated monster. Think about two completely different types of work. Emergency work, like a burst pipe in the middle of the night, is incredibly fast. Intake, dispatch, complete. Boom. But a long-cycle renovation is much slower. It involves a site visit, budgeting, revisions, and finally a decision. If you try to force both of these totally different realities into one identical pipeline, it gets messy fast. Building 2 or 3 separate pipelines ensures your process actually reflects the real-life, messy situations you manage every single day.
So what should a standard estimate-based pipeline actually look like? Well, it's a simple journey. You start with a new lead, move to contacted or qualified, conduct a site visit, get the estimate sent, wait while the decision is pending, and finally mark it won or lost. I highly advise you to keep your pipelines to 5 or 6 simple stages just like this. Treat these stages like road signs to tell you where a lead currently is, not a full, exhaustive daily diary of every single interaction.
Section 4. Checklists and handoffs.
The handoff between stages is where a massive amount of money actually gets lost, and it's usually just because stage definitions within the business are way too vague. To confidently move a lead into the estimate sent stage, for example, you absolutely must have the scope notes completed, measurements gathered, photos saved to the file, pricing reviewed, the proposal actually sent, and a firm follow-up date scheduled. Breaking it down with strict definitions and required checklists like this ensures a lead only moves forward when predetermined concrete actions are actually completed. It takes the guesswork entirely out of the equation.
This introduces a really vital rule. A lead sitting way too long in one stage is a massive warning sign, and it requires a nurturing action. For example, if you know a lead is stuck in decision pending, that should instantly trigger a predetermined nurturing action. If you sent a quote 7 days ago, the system nudges you to systematically follow up. That way, your hard-earned lead isn't just politely neglected.
Section 5. The value of lost.
You know, the loss stage is so often ignored or just kind of vaguely implied by trade business owners. But it shouldn't just be buried in your notebook. It must be treated as an actual selectable outcome in your formal process. When you actively track it, you might find that 50% of your jobs were lost because the project was delayed, 30% because the price was too high, and 20% simply due to no response. Tracking specific lost reasons like this gives you an incredibly accurate, data-driven picture of your business's overall health over time. You stop guessing and you start knowing.
These specific reasons give you incredibly valuable data. Losing a job because the price is too high suggests you might genuinely have a pricing or targeting issue. But losing a job because of no response, that strongly suggests you have a follow-up or timing issue. These different lost reasons require entirely different solutions to fix. Tracking this actively prevents business owners from making that lazy blanket assumption that everyone only cares about price.
Section 6. Start simple. Start now.
It is time to rally and take some action. And please, you shouldn't wait until you have the perfect CRM software purchased. Absolutely do not wait until the end of your busy season to implement this, because, let's be honest, for a good trade business, the busy season never really ends. Your primary target is simply 80%. Your goal is to create a minimal functional process that cleanly handles 80% of your leads. By doing this, you deliberately leave yourself the necessary flexibility to handle those remaining 20% of tricky edge cases without your whole system breaking down or feeling way too rigid to actually use.
Remember, the real goal here is not software. It is visibility and consistency. Start ugly if you have to. Starting with a physical whiteboard on your office wall or just a basic spreadsheet is perfectly fine. The ultimate goal isn't to look sophisticated for a boardroom. The goal is simply stopping good leads from being completely forgotten by your team.
I want to leave you with this incredibly provocative thought to ponder. Are you losing jobs to competitors who aren't actually better than you at the trade but are simply just more organized? Let that sink in for a second. It's time to ditch the memory game. Start building your structured sales process today, even if you are just drawing columns on a whiteboard. Get that visibility. Get that consistency. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope it helps you capture all the value your hard work truly deserves.